1 week off. Almost feels like it's been a whole eternity, but it has indeed only been one. Welcome back to Maconi Entertainment's coverage of the FF1600 SOF series. And we're back at a classic track that I think we all know just about as well as all of the others. Oulton Park International is certainly what we'd call a home of iRacing FF1600, but it does come a little bit different this time around, Ron.
Yeah, it certainly does. This track has got a new lick of paint put on top of it, but it is still the same challenging circuit that we have seen season after season here in the FF1600 officials. Last season hosted the opening round of the championship, and that race was rather chaotic, but I do remember that race was slightly affected by rain, if my memory serves me correctly. Here today, on the other hand, it's looking pretty alright out there on the racetrack as we get into the fall here in the Northern Hemisphere. This is going to be an awesome way to get this season up and rolling at a track that really feels like a quintessential FF1600 circuit.
A fantastic schedule this season, dare I say even more fun than the last one. Don't quite have it on the page view, but we're taking trips to Sebring, to Okayama, back up to Mount Panorama and Road Atlanta all over again. We're going to Rudskogen, Brands Hatch, we're getting a special event broadcast, and we finish around in Long Beach, Oran, Sonoma, Leyden On, and Watkins Glen Cup, which is going to just be utterly incredible. Qualifying wrapping up right about now, or more like just getting started. Keeping an eye on last season champion Renz Brookman, who has indeed chosen to hit the track again, alongside 18 other drivers to make a 4.4k SOF today. 4 splits meant that the SOF has been dragged down just a little bit along the way, but we definitely have plenty of the drivers that you'd get tonight.
Yeah, still the same cast of characters that we expect season after season, race after race in these broadcasted races here on Maconi Entertainment. And it's going to be a fun way to get this season up and rolling. I think there's no other way of putting it here, Howie. We're in for a good race at what is going to be a very tough track for these competitors. When you think of Oulton Park, you don't think of modern safety standards, high-tech equipment. You don't think of high-tech you don't think of high-tech anything, really. When it comes to running around here, pretty much the highest tech is the cameras that we've got here for this broadcast and the cars out there on the track as well. This is an old-school blast from the past of a racetrack, but it is super fun.
This season, as ever, you might have seen the return of a classic name. If you're all too familiar with the series, thank you very much to Frederick Surley and FILMBIL.NO for support of the series. Again, this season, I've been told, I don't have to say much else, although he has changed up the design of this car quite nicely on the back, and we might get a better view of that, and hopefully some luckier races from time to time on the grid. We'll be watching. He'll often make these top splits along the way, and he has teammates up there too. Thomas Fleming is the first with a fastest lap, 39.9. Everybody's going to get one more shot. And unfortunately, this grid setup looks like we might be putting Fraser Smith and Kieran Shanks in the same room together. Dare I say, just to roll off each other. Quite big gaps on this grid so far. They've got 39.9 and a 40.0 and then a 44. So I think it's going to be lots of time now for drivers to make up.
Yeah, so as we get to the end of this qualifying session, they're going to try and find any way in the book to claw back a little bit of time. A reminder, folks, the way that qualifying works here in this series, 8 minutes and only 2 laps to try and get the job done for these competitors. So not a whole lot of room to work with, not a whole lot of time to work with either. But Thomas Fleming looking to keep the momentum rolling after what was a pretty perfect way to end the season. Back in Season 3, he grabbed the pole position and won the final broadcasted race from that season at Donington Park on the national configuration, and looks to keep that rolling here at Oulton. Holds on to that provisional pole for now. Fraser Smith right behind Kieran Shanks, slotted alongside those two, set to be starting this race in P2 and P3 respectively. One of them's gonna have to buy an ice cream cone for another. That is not going to be a very fun meeting of the minds.
Kieran Shanks fails to set a better time, spins out. Same thing for Fraser Smith. He doesn't spin, but he fails to set a better time. And it's Frederick Surley that flies through with a P2 worthy time. And Mikey Pollard splits the difference between alongside Renz Brookman. We might have made some space between rivals on the grid. Still plenty more drivers who aren't on this grid who will be seeing run through. James Pecker failed to set a legal one first time around. We're giving another shot. Sean Gregory also hasn't quite finished the first one, and this one won't be up to standard either. Pablo Lopez in the 12 car. Betty Reinanen in the 17. I'm going to try very hard with that name, and if you can catch the stream after the fact and correct me, I would love that for you. And Tobias Hendrickson makes our 18 car on the grid. That's our rating going from about 6.2k down to 2.5k. Just keeping an eye on who's left to really finish their laps. A lot of it is drivers that didn't get an impressive run of it the first time. We're going to see big improvements from Rui Pinto and Dima Sirkin. Looking at the current pace, Rui Pinto won the slowest laps first time around. I think he has set all of them, which is a shame because this one is 1.6 seconds faster. It's not actually going to be legal. Dima Sirkin, the next one who could really improve, I think.
Yeah, so let's keep our eyes on Sirkin heading up the hill under the bridge. This middle sector of the racetrack, super technical, super tough to try and nail down. And you got some grass runoff areas, which granted they have a lot more grip than they had a matter of about a year ago here on iRacing. It's still not a bed of roses. It may not be the green ice that it used to be, but it still has less grip than the asphalt itself. So these races are going to look to keep it within the lines as Sirkin comes across the line in a few moments' time out of Lodge Corner through that meandering left of Deer Leap, turn number 14, and across the line for the driver of the number 13 car. Will it be an improvement on P13? Yes, it will, up to 7th.
James Pecker not going to get an improvement. Neither lap really succeeding for the number 5 driver on the row. He'll be starting near the back, and I think it's only now Rui Pinto continuing to run practice laps around the corner. It's going to keep us here for the next 30 seconds. So I have a feeling, now I did this yesterday and it felt amazing being able to do the qualifying results a little bit earlier. Let's see if this works this way. It's going to work right now. That's great. Thomas Fleming lines up in first. Frederick Surley, stunningly fast lap for the first race of the season to end up alongside. Fraser Smith is in P3 next to Mikey Pollard. And Renz Brookman's in 5th next to Kieran Shanks on the 3rd row. Dima Sirkin does line up P7, now a second back next to Brandon Nagelvort, with Jake Williams and Ian Anderson at 9th and 10th. The rest for you.
And looking through the rest of the starters, we got Mario Ross alongside Bruno Matos making up row number 6. Looking right behind on your 7th row, rounding out your field, will be Rui Pinto in that number 14 machine, starting this race in 13th. So I think I have had a small outlier in the midst of all that. Was there a racer who didn't set qualifying time? There were actually several.
There's quite
Becker,
a few.
Garrity, yeah. A decent amount. I was about to say 13. That seems a little bit low. I thought we had 18 people out here, and in fact, we do.
I thought my system would work, and it turns out people don't set their qualifying times. Further back, look out for James Pecker, Sean Gagarfi, Pablo Lopez, Betty Reinanen, and Tobias Hendrickson, making up places all the way to the back of the row. Now, you didn't get to hear like the record scratch on the music there, but that was actually like an accidental audio gag made absolutely sure. 20 minutes of running on the track as ever. Should be about 12 laps. Some drivers you expect to see up here. Some of the teammates in around side Kieran Shanks sort of split up a little bit, not going to quite be able to work as well off the go. I'm interested to see how Frederick performs from the P2, and not just because I have an obligation to bring it up. That was a very, very, very good lap for real life FF1600 driver. Only one more to go, Ian Anderson. And then we have our whole starting grid lined up, and we get to say hi to a brand new season on a classic track. We've got a great schedule ahead. We've got the FF1600 Festival over here as well. There's plenty to watch over the course of the season, and it all begins right here as soon as one person sets their time on the grid. New design, new visuals on the track. Should be the same scan, but watch out for those 3D curbs, I've been told. They can cause crazy disruption to these cars with their massive humps and bumps. Drivers lined up on the grid. It's a long hold. And now we are green. Fraser Smith gets a good launch on the left-hand side. Frederick dropping back a ton. Everyone just about able to work their way around him, though, rather than checking up multiple in line. Turn 1 looks clear for all drivers coming on through. Down the hill now. Quite a fast rapid turn, and we have cars spinning in the back already. That's Jake Williams and Brandon Nagelvort. They're down and back, along maybe Tobias Hendrickson as well. They make our first major incident of the race. Top 3, Thomas Fleming, Fraser Smith and Renz Brookman seem to have separation now as Frederick Surley is stuck among the rest. Mikey Pollard, they've similar looking cars, you got to say. Mikey Pollard is leading that pack.
Yeah, and now Kieran Shanks getting that move done on Frederick Sorley to jump his way up into P5, so well done to Shanks to get that move done and down into turn number 5. A good overtaking opportunity, but he got this back flat out blast. That's going to give Sorley the opportunity to pounce once again on Shanks around the outside into the chicane. Not going to be able to get the move done. That chicane, as much as it's a heavy braking zone at the end of the longest flat out blast on the entirety of this lap, you've still got those tire bundles on the inside, which are made out of the matter of a white dwarf star. You hit them in these FF1600 cars, it's going to stop your car rather quickly, going to really mess it up as well, and your day is going to be effectively over if you even look at those tire bundles the wrong way. But at the front, Thomas Fleming looking to do what he did in the season finale last season, and that is convert a pole to a race win. Looking at what we saw in the action for season 3 here in the FF1600 officials, it took quite a while until we had a driver convert a pole into a win. In fact, it wasn't until about round number 7 when Kieran Shanks was able to do it at Long Beach.
Well, this track is going to have a bit of a draft effect, especially on the first half of this long straight around the back, and the potential dive bombs into that hairpin might be one the only chance to get things done, but still side by side here, Shanks and Surly, they've been trading the spots back and forth. Surly had it for the back half of that lap. Now Shanks takes it back here. Frederick looks to the left, gets side by side. There's lots of movement going on behind that. Sirkin and Ian Anderson doing the same, just the row back. You go swipe. Oh, whoa! There goes Surly. It's a tag on the grass, and he's back and around. Went just a little bit too wide on a slippy car there, and that's going to send him tumbling to the back after a good start.
Yeah, hopping the berm, going over that white line and hitting the grass. Around he goes, as that's a big crash, heading off into turn number 6. Nearly saw a driver slam straight into the tire bundles. Be careful on the rejoin here. Oh, that could have ended in tears as Roy Pinto tried to get that car back on the racetrack. Jake Williams and Brandon Nagelvoort, after that drama, heading off through turn number 3 at the very start, then nearly got involved in some more drama. Not sure how in the world that Roy Pinto got sent off that way. That had to have been 2 cars fighting for the same piece of real estate and somebody getting spun off big time. That could have been an absolutely hellacious collision. They kept it going though. Roy Pinto down at the back of the pack, currently slotted in P17. The only car behind him is Sorley, still trying to recover after that spin at the start of this lap. Pinto still with a clean race car, definitely not with clean pants though.
I think it was contact with VT Rhiannon, although I'll check that later down the line as well. There's a lot of chatter on the race chat, a lot of tensions from just, let's say, tensions from the last 15 minutes ago that have boiled over. I think the warm-up race had its own share of controversy, and now people want their scores settled on the track right this moment. One more of the Film Build cars has joined this lead pack. Mikey Pollard up in 4th in that 7 cars. Being able to tag on to Renz Brickman. Fraser Smith looks to the side, but the big mistake Surly made was on that left-hander. Your car can swing right. It's very, very slippy on the rear end, and so if you hold the wrong line coming into that, you might get stuck on the way out. Kieran Shanks 2 seconds back now from the rest of the pack. Looks like he's not making up ground. Fraser Smith has been looking for a way through Thomas Fleming for a while, but the run just hasn't developed, and being on the right-hand side into this chicane isn't the easiest. The left-hand side make it. That's what cameras do for you. I think Dima Sirkin has slowed quite a bit down. In fact, he's lost his nose entirely. So I think that's the first meatball of the race. That is Dima Sirkin. And that'll be our first chance to see what actually happened there.
Oh, and it was contact as they headed their way onto the back straightaway, ramping up on top of each other. Into the wall goes Dima Sirkin. So, oh, baby, that could have been disaster with those cars trying to take evasive action on the rejoin. I think Jake Williams was the one that had to go off into the dirt. Garrity involved in that drama as well, in the number 8 machine, whose first name I will try not to pronounce because I feel like I will absolutely butcher it. This has been a very hectic start to this race. As you said right at the top of the show, Howie, despite the fact it's only been a 1 week break and these racers have most certainly been behind the wheel, feels like this opening broadcasted race of this season, the opportunity for these racers to try and shake the dust off is trying to shake the dirt off of Mario Ross.
I think everybody's having some kind of jitters around here. It's been a lot of elbows out racing already for 5 minutes. amazingly only one meatball. This pack at the front is so compressed, I don't know if I'll be able to go back and watch retrospectives of some of the prior incidents, because this pack of 4, they've not moved one bit. They're going to be the ones making the move for the win of this race. Don't say that the slow rookie cars don't produce the craziest of racing among the most dedicated drivers. Last season champion Rens Brookman wrapped it up quite early on, mostly through consistency rather than absolute standout domination. He'd like to start around here, talk from the pack behind that they should work to maybe catch up ahead, so they're going to work. Kieran Shanks having cleared 7/10 on the pack now means that could very much be the case. But people are just sort of sticking their noses in, sort of showing where they could make their moves, not really making their dramatic moves yet. I do wonder if there's any way this doesn't end in tears eventually.
I'm not necessarily a betting man. If I was, I'd probably be homeless. But if I were willing to bet on there being some drama in this race, I would bet very highly on. As you can see, Fleming and Smith chasing each other's tails as they headed their way down to turn 13. That could have ended in tears as they had their way off into the braking zone, the two trying to block off runs from one another. As Rens Brookman, your reigning champion here in these races. Oh, as that's Fraser Smith going off the track into one.
There goes Fraser, and we might hear a bit more about that one later. Thomas Fleming holds the lead for now. Contact with Fraser from behind. I could see him getting a little checked up and a little bit held up and blocked. And then into one, into the back of the other. And that's where we're going. I mean, people are arguing on the chat all race. This is what Oulton Park always seems to do. I do genuinely think Oulton Park has a curse in this series with these drivers. It does make them lead to the most incidents. I remember seasons ago people getting disqualified here on this track. There's just something about it making people absolutely restless and just causing carnage all around.
Yeah, the red mist is clearly looming around this track. I mean, how many racers throughout the 18 that we have in this event are not upset with at least one other car? That is the real question. If I had a bet, I would probably say that nobody is fully happy with every single competitor out there. As we take a look at Fraser Smith, it was a move. Oh yeah, it was a wiggle. You could see big wiggle from Fleming. Smith kind of got spooked through the turn and goes off the track in response. There was a bit of a move though from Thomas Fleming. You can see a slight jink off to invoke a little French as he headed his way down to turn number 1. Let's take a look at this. You can see, I think that's a little bit of a block, if I'm being completely honest, from Thomas Fleming.
Seems to be just a little bit of a confusion on the data all over the place. It seems like more people are crashing, and it seems almost as if there was a bit of a trade for that P1 with Mikey Pollard and Thomas Fleming. If I catch this, is something stupid going to happen in the background? We'll find out, because I think there were a lot of passes here. Here was Mikey Pollard, 7 car on the inside of 3. Good pass up through here. Doors wide open for Rens Brookman to do it as well, but he's not going to be able to keep this position for very long. Ducks right to the inside. There's still there's more space on this track than you'd possibly think, I imagine. That's where I'm sort of getting at with this, and a lot of it is very line dependent. Now Rens Brookman's the one that wants to try and chase down Fleming. Side by side. Right-hand side's going to have the advantage. Ignore everything I said earlier, as the pack with Kieran is very, very much caught up significantly here. I mean, like, I actually do look at Thomas Fleming's lap times, and I start to wonder, like, has this actually been a train building exercise here? Because he's been running remarkably slow for a leader. People haven't been getting past, and now all of a sudden, the pack is now 5.
Yeah, that's a problem with all this battling. You know, this is not the sort of racetrack where everybody can break away from one another. It's tight, twisty, and technical, but you still have enough flat-out blasts to keep these racers vacuum sealed together. So as they duke it out, it's just going to bring more and more and more and more cars into this. You got some racers with varying different agendas. Thomas Fleming looking to start the season off with a win. Brookman looking to try and defend his crown. Mikey Pollard, who was rather impressive throughout last season and a really good racer in these FFs, as I can attest, considering he's off the back of it. I think it was a third place championship points finish in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors this past season, running roughly the same schedule that we do in these broadcasted official races. So Pollard's good. You got Shanks, who's looking to impress as usual, and Ian Anderson looking to run strong as well. A lot of different agendas in this 5-car pack that we've got right now, and lots of different ideologies as to how they're going to make it work.
Now Shanks is on the back of this pack. I wonder how the racing's going to change. These two are teammates, the 2 and the 3 car, and there have been accusations of foul play thrown around in the past. So now this race just becomes interesting. Now I think it's been opened up quite significantly, and it's strange if they're going to maybe like help each other up, or whether they're going to fight to the death, or whether this is just going to remain sort of a trade. Thomas's laps are pretty much on pace at this point. They're in the 44s. It's some of the fastest of the race. Renz Brookman now side by side. Side by side into this corner can be a little bit tricky, but both keep it clean, but the momentum isn't quite there. Final turn. I've seen disasters happen here. Kieran's throwing it in alongside Mikey Pollard. Big send. He's going to stay alongside. I thought it'd be fully clear at this point. Ren's up the road, though, meanwhile, looking to try and steal that first place back. Oh, that's tough. People aren't getting past here. People aren't getting past here. Pressure's starting to build.
Yeah, no, turn 1 going for a move, especially around the outside through there. It is super tough, especially with those brand new 3D curves. That'll hurt you badly as look at that. That's Mikey Pollard dropping down behind Kieran Shanks. Oh, as that's a big spin coming out of the turn off into the wall. That is going to be Ian Anderson dropping out of this battle. And now there are only 4. Hit that curb, hit the grass on the outside, and around he goes. Saw that a lot during the FF race, and saw that a lot during the FF Weekend Warriors race, that is. And seeing it already in this FF1600 race. Hit the curb coming out of turn number 3, and around like a top you're gonna go. These racers have a love-hate relationship with the curbs as is, but the brand new 3D curbs around here is going to be super, super tough as we ride on board with Mikey Pollard. He has a fantastic view of Kieran Shanks trying to get a 2-for-1 deal done down to the chicane. He's on the outside. He's gonna have a bit of a tripped up run through there. He's not gonna be duking out. Contact being made with himself and Renz Brookman. Brookman gonna get shown the door. He's now got challenging Mikey Pollard on the outside of him.
I feel like every time Kieran Shanks shows up in your mirror, the fear of God just starts to emit in your ear. Some of these sends have been outrageously aggressive, but they have been gotten done without contact every single time, and he's slowly pushed his way up as a result. Thomas Fleming sort of being able to run away now. Now it's Pollard and Brookman down here in the back. Further down the road, there's battles everywhere. Despite this main pack, Jake Williams and Bruno Matos are having a duel, and Mario Ras and Pablo Lopez are just behind. Frederick Zerli set the fastest lap of the race just a couple laps ago. He's been able to climb all the way back up into P10. He's objectively very, very fast around here. Just one mistake can really undo you in pack racing, as these positions get traded back for the 3rd and the 4th. And I wonder if the Evo will decide to make their move on this duo.
Oh, as you can see him duking out yet again down into turn number 4. I wonder if this 4-car pack is going to turn into a 2-and-2 affair, whether or not the gap between Fleming and Shanks and Pollard and Brookman will balloon out a little bit. Renz Brookman put in a very consistent season in Season 3 of 2025. I think he wants to get some good results to get his championship title defense back in the right way. As here he goes, looking on the outside of the number 7 of Pollard, down into the chicane. So tough to get a move done through here, because it's really awkward even when you're running by yourself. As look at Pollard, all sorts of crossed up coming out of the turn. He heads his way through Knickerbrook, losing out on a little bit of time to Brookman, so not too much harm or foul done there, but it could have been a heck of a lot better. He's now lost out on a half a second to Renz Brookman, now occupying that final podium spot that used to be his a matter of about 30 seconds ago.
The way this car can snap at low speeds is quite scary. I mean, you don't have very strong tires. You certainly don't have anything keeping you stuck to the ground. And you can very much lose touch when the weight distribution doesn't go quite right. Mario Ras holding off Pablo Lopez is our next closest battle on the track. So we take a little look. Pablo Lopez looks to try and take the wide line. Ducks back in behind. I think maybe the draft is more powerful than trying to get a momentum-based run, given the lack of horses in the engines of this bad boy. Mikey Pollard in for temps of Renz, who has caught up to Kieran Shanks, who hasn't run away exactly. I have a feeling we're going to get tag teamed in the interview about engines, no matter what. Tries to move both ways and is not finding a way through down the straight. This is a very, very aggressive defense.
As much as I played along with it last time, if those two come into this broadcast booth and start talking about illegal engines, I'm just going to outright leave.
And that's like the one thing they have. You got to give it to them, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, fair enough. You know, they've got their engine talk. I've got falling anvils, and that right there is Kieran Shanks trying to hold on to P2 with himself and Brookman battling off into the braking zone. You can see these races again oh so sideways out of every single turn. That's one thing about these FF1600s that makes them unique. There's not many cars on the iRacing platform that are newer, modern, and sophisticated, quote-unquote, race cars that are nearly as terrifying and as sketchy as the FF1600. You are always on the edge in these cars.
This is a win that is being accused of being a teamwork-based one. I'll just say that. People are having a very fun time. People are having a very fun time analysing this one deep down right now, as Thomas Fleming able to run 2 seconds down the line. Renz Brookman and Mikey Pollard being very, very, very much held off by a driver that is certainly not making a pass easy. Here's Mikey Pollard. We will get back on board with Renz. He was able to get a run down the straight last time. They got outbraked on the way back. Mario Rust disqualified. I think it might have been one off track too many, and that has now taken him down and out of the session. DQs with just 1 or 2 contacts on this track. They can strike you very, very hard and very, very fast. Curious to see whether anyone's going to try and force the issue and how hard they're going to try and force it to get this P2. Thomas Fleming's off into the distance now, 2.2 seconds down the road. And really, I think Pollard and Brookman are probably sitting back here, equally frustrated, not wanting to be ones to take each other out in these circumstances. Side by side with Kieran again. Kieran's going to have that inside line again into the chicane. Renz tries to properly sweep it up around the outside, still held off.
These racers battling harder and harder lap after lap as we get to the end of this race. I feel like something's going to break here soon as Renz Brookman going to take that run as they head their way up the hill down into turn number 12 of Druids. One of them's got to back out of it. Neither of them do as they head their way over the crest of the hill out of turn 12 into 13 and 14 right now. We ride on board for Pollard, not only getting a grandstand view of all of this, he's also got a good opportunity to pick up the pieces in case these racers come to blows. Oh, you can see him with a bit of a wiggle as Kieran Shanks parked the bus on the apex through turn 13. It catches Renz Brookman out a little bit as Pollard going to try and take advantage of that and get the move done with 1.5 minutes left to go on the clock. I think it was borderline as to whether or not Thomas Fleming took the white flag there as look at Pollard trying to take P3 from Brookman.
According to iRacing, it's not the white flag, and we are getting one more go of this after here. Graphics don't lie to you for once. Now, Pollard's... so Renz isn't able to get past Kieran. The gap is now 4 seconds, by the way. So, we've now doubled that. Can Pollard do this now? And how hardcore is someone just going to maybe either just go for it or maybe even just send a message? I'm not quite sure what it's going to take to get past this car right now, but Pollard's got a long run down the straight. He's going to be the one to try. A bit of a bump from behind rather than taking it alongside. Obviously, Shanks holds the right-hand side going into these bends, and Brookman's actually the one that now has the run going into that chicane. Oh! And I think it might be contact with Pollard that sent him back, both facing forwards, but Brookman's so far back that now the position's been given up to James Pecker.
Yeah, James Becker in the midst of all that drama, he's been able to jump out into that battle. Let's take a look at that drama. I knew there had to have been contact. That car of Brookman was way too sideways for it to be anything other than that. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, Pollard going for a bit of a dive there. It looked like he just let out that brake pedal a little bit and then just slipped it down the inside. That's not going to work out well down into the hit slap chicane as we take a look at the checkered flag actually out.
It did fly anyway. I mean, iRacing doing its best for us there. It did fly anyway. Kieran Shanks takes P2 and James Becker makes it, okay, and James Becker makes it past Mikey Pollard for the P3, we're going to have a lot of stuff to review from this race, don't you worry. We're going to be taking a look at it. That sure is the way to start the season. Let me just put it like that. I just don't throw the tomatoes at me, because I'm just here, okay? I'm just here. Ron's just here. He doesn't want tomatoes in the face either. So we'll take that. I want to take a look at what happened over the course of this race. Only 12 laps, and it sure did escalate and develop. We'll begin with the first crash with Jake Williams. We'll do this in chronological order. Oh, that is I've attempted a free wide, a little bit of a tap of Team Circuit, I believe. And Jake Williams' car that went flying through direct contact on the inside. That was the first wreck we saw. I think Frederick Surley's little incident probably was just running wide side by side. Car does swing out. He's pinched the outside, not that much. And no, a clean line, but just 2 tires on the grass. That's going to do that. Rui Pinto also on lap 2. With the 17 car, they just sort of float into each other's space, and that rejoin was miraculous that it worked. I mean, Ken could have pointed him one direction and hoped that Jake Williams didn't get taken out on the way back out. Team Circuit had a pretty bad day from this point onwards. I believe that's trying to get around the 8 car, blocked off just a little bit on the inside, and that's actually our only meatball flag of the race. Big talking point is going to be Fraser Smith, who behind the 3 car here, heavily slid up into this turn, but ends up looping it around in trying to respond. We'll go back just a tiny bit more.
Yeah, it's borderline the defensive maneuvers that Fleming was doing heading down into the braking zone. This one, though, looked a little bit cut and dry in my book. You can see he goes for the move. Yeah, that was definitely a reactionary move, and I wouldn't necessarily say it caused the accident, but I think those two chasing each other's tails down to turn number 1 really contributed to it. But, you know, again, I'm just paid to run my math about race cars on a screen. What the hell do I know?
Trying to catch some things that we did miss along the way, because a lot happened on the track. Here's Vito Rhiannon tangling together with, I have a feeling that Jake got involved in a lot today. I've been seeing that McLaren car all over the track in ways that we just didn't quite see. Big 4-car lineup here, and this is where Ian Anderson left the train. He did just self-spin it coming out of the corner. I think those curbs just claimed one victim too many, and that marks the end of that race, and that marks the end of absolutely everything that happened. I believe we're going to be able to talk to some drivers. I've already been informed that we might not get every single one of them. I've already informed that Kieran may not be able to make it into the chat, so we'll at least leave you with Thomas Fleming while I try and work out what happened everywhere else. Quite frankly, I mean, he is a race winner. He did run away a bit, so I'll leave that with you.
Yeah, Thomas Fleming driving off into the sunset at the end of all this to get the win. Thomas, welcome into the booth. First race of the season, first win of the season as well. How was it out there?
Yeah, bear with me if my mind goes a little bit blank. I'm just in a Mazda rookie race right now. Grind never stops, but
that quickly?
No, do many laps. Yeah, it was actually quite a fun race. Yeah, I think I'm lacking a little bit in the setup department, or at least knowledge.
Sorry, I'm having Discord problems, so this interview is hardly coming out. I've never quite had problems this deep. I will just close this and start again for the benefit of all of you. It's a skill issue, okay? It's a skill issue. So at least the stream's alive. Discord, I'm going to need to put you down very quietly. You're not a good piece of software. I don't do this on purpose. Gonna see if I can get the web app version of that available. We can catch back up with him. That almost seems conveniently timed, but I think my computer has all of a sudden decided it's gonna have a strike right now. Here it comes. This is just great moments to have on your on your Mondays. It's putting the production feed out, people. It's a challenge. We'll be back. We'll be back, Thomas. You get to watch Thomas on board for a little bit while Discord just doesn't. While everything on my PC shuts down and hates me today. Wow, I really shouldn't have raced IMSA earlier today. Really shouldn't have raced IMSA earlier today because literally every single thing has locked up. Let me try and recover this the best I possibly can.
Everything's going on. So, Thomas, yeah, speaking about Sebring, hopefully we can see you out there on track, because this was a pretty good drive for you here at Oulton. We'll let you give any thanks or shout-outs before we let you go and celebrate this win.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to thank my electricity and broadband provider for giving me the ability to use a lag switch. No, just in general, just like to thank I don't really know. It's sort of weird thanking people in sim racing when you're sort of on your own, but yeah, thank you to you guys for doing a good job with the stream again. And yeah, hopefully I look forward to doing some more races with you guys in the future.
Yeah, and hopefully gonna see you out there on the racetrack at Sebring next time. But Thomas, thank you for joining us here in the booth, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much, guys. Cheerio.
So, okay.
There was Thomas Fleming, your race winner.
So, provided a stream is even going out at this point, in which case, well, welcome everybody. I can't click on any software whatsoever. And it's well timed that it happens at the end of the race and past the checkered flag. So if you're still here, thank you for watching. We'll be back here next week at Sebring. Sorry for the jank. That's life. If this kit died early, then that's an absolute shame. I mean, Howie Burrows alongside Ron Mars, thank you very much for watching. And Ron, I'll be back in a minute.